Alright, if you saw my previous video working on my Lennox Whisper Heat G20 furnace, the issue was the pilot light would light, but once it tried to actually ignite the furnace and get everything running, it would only sometimes do it. So I ordered a new igniter pilot little setup here, what you see right here, as well as the flame sensor, which looks like this right here. This is called the flame sensor. And here's the old one, the old pilot setup. Not all that expensive. You might as well go ahead and replace it all because it's easy to get to. All you have to do is remove that hood, which is now temporarily sitting up there, but that hood that usually covers this area here, it's just a couple of screws that hold it in place. And, it's only a couple of wires that operate all of this. But notice the pilot tip. Okay, hold on here. Let me get some better light. What is usually on the, there's your little gas line coming from your gas valve right here. It loops up over that silver line, comes in through there, and then will plug in to the bottom of your pilot system, or it will screw in. And then there's usually a little tip right on the top of the end of that, and it needs to be clear, of course, because if it's if this little tip here has a hole in it, it may be hard to see, but if that hole is clogged on the top of that versus the new one, the new little tip comes with the new pilot setup, so you might as well replace it. But something you can also troubleshoot is making sure this little end is clear. It's a tiny little hole. I mean, super tiny. So hold on, let me see if I can. You can see it's not clogged, but you might as well replace it. So here's the new one. And there'll be two included. One will be for propane and one for natural gas. Of course, this is a natural gas setup. So, just make sure you put the correct tip back in. Excuse the focusing. Anyway, it'll go right on top of that there. Then you'll screw that into here. Make sure it's good and snug, but don't overdo it because, this line is just aluminum, so you'll damage it if you're not careful. And the orange plug coming out of it, goes up to the... Let me get my light. That black plug right there in the bottom is the orange plug coming from the pilot. And then the white one for the sensor goes into that one there, the very first white one you see on bottom. You shouldn't have to remove those anyway, except from the device that you're swapping out. So not a big deal. Just make sure you get them connected correctly. Put them back together, and then that will screw in right there where those two holes are. You'll need a magnetic screwdriver to do that easily. Otherwise, you could possibly drop the screw. Drop the screw down in there, which is not a big deal, but I recommend you use something magnetic so that you don't drop stuff, drop screws and things. Anyway, and put her back together, and she should work. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back together, and next video will hopefully be of it functioning properly. So we'll be right back.